Yuna Choi sat in the dark room, her eyes fixed on the screens that glowed softly in front of her. She had been working this shift for 6 hours now, and her back ached from sitting so long. But she never complained. This was the most important job in the world, even if nobody outside this building knew it existed. The screens showed streams of data, flowing past in languages that most humans had never seen. Alien languages. Transmissions from across the galaxy, bouncing through space on something called the Quantum Veil Network. Yuna's job was simple. Listen to everything. Report anything unusual. Earth had been listening for 200 years, Captain. Hannah Kwan walked into the monitoring room with a cup of coffee in her hand. She moved quietly, her military boots barely making a sound on the metal floor. Hannah had run the Deep Space Intelligence Division for 5 years, and in that time, she had learned to read her people well. She could tell when Yuna was onto something just by looking at her shoulders. "What do you have?" Hannah asked, setting the coffee on Yuna's desk. Yuna looked up, her young face tight with worry. "Council transmission, ma'am. Priority channel. They're talking about Sol System." Hannah felt her stomach drop. In 200 years of listening, the Council had only mentioned Earth a handful of times. Each time it had been brief. A note in some database. A comment in a survey report? Nothing that mattered, until now. "Play it," Hannah said. The alien voices filled the room, speaking in Galactic Common. Yuna had studied the language since she was 12 years old, like all intelligence officers. But they didn't need to translate. The computer did it automatically, displaying the words on screen as the aliens spoke. Counselor Vrex was talking. His species looked like giant mantises, with clicking mandibles and too many eyes. His voice came through the speakers with an odd buzzing quality. "The weapons test requires an isolated location," Vrex said. "Somewhere without political complications," another voice responded, calmer and deeper. "What do you propose?" "Sol System. The third planet. Our records show primitive inhabitants, pre-industrial. They won't even know what's happening." Hannah's hand gripped the edge of the desk. She forced herself to stay calm, to keep listening. "How many inhabitants?" the second voice asked. "Approximately 8 billion, according to our last survey. But they're Category 7. No space travel. No advanced technology. They're perfect for the test." There was a pause. Then the sound of a vote being called. 47 species on the council. The votes came in one by one. 39 voted yes. 8 voted no. The decision was made. Earth would be used to test a biological weapon. The council wanted to see how fast it would kill an entire planet. Yuna turned to look at Hannah, her eyes wide with fear. "Captain, they're going to?" "I know," Hannah said quietly. She picked up her phone. "Get me Admiral Park." Now, within an hour, every important person on Earth knew what was coming. President Minji Song sat in the Emergency Command Center, deep underground in Geneva. Around the table sat the leaders of Earth's secret government. The government that had existed in shadows for 2 centuries. Admiral Doyon Park stood at the head of the table. He was an old man now in his 70s, but his eyes were sharp and his voice was strong. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment, even though he had hoped it would never come. "They're sending a plague ship," he said. "It will arrive in 47 hours. The crew thinks they're being merciful. They'll broadcast messages about ending our suffering quickly. Then they'll release the weapon." "How many on the ship?" asked General Wu Jinru. 12 crew members. Small science vessel. They don't expect any resistance." Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee leaned forward. She was the voice of diplomacy, always had been. "We should contact them immediately. Tell them who we are, what we've built. They'll call off the attack when they see we're not primitives." "Will they?" Dr. Tae Kim spoke for the first time. He was thin and quiet, but everyone listened when he talked. Tae had spent 40 years studying every alien language, every alien culture. He knew the council better than anyone. "I've analyzed 200 years of their communications. The council doesn't negotiate with the weak. They only respect strength, then we show them our strength," General Wu Jin said, his fist hitting the table. President Minji raised her hand for silence. "Captain Kwan, you've been listening to them longer than anyone. What do you think? Hannah stood up. She had been quiet, thinking hard. I think we have two choices. We can hide again, use our dampening fields, make the plague ship think nobody's home. Or we can reveal ourselves. But if we reveal ourselves, we do it right. We show them exactly what they've awakened. The fleet. Admiral Doyon asked. All of it, Hannah said. Every ship. Every weapon. Everything we've built in secret for 200 years. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. Once Earth revealed itself, there was no going back. The galaxy would know humans existed. The galaxy would know what humans had built. Tell me about the fleet, President Minji said. Admiral Doyon pulled up a holographic display. Ships appeared in the air above the table. Sleek, dangerous, beautiful machines. 340 warships, he said. Hidden in asteroid bases on the dark side of the moon, in orbit around Jupiter's moons. We've been building them for generations. Each one uses technology the Council has never seen. Quantum drives that leave no trail. Shields that adapt to any weapon. We learned from watching their wars. We learned from their mistakes. Why did we stay silent so long? Ambassador Juan asked. If we had this power, we could have joined the galaxy decades ago, Dr. Tay answered. Because joining would have meant submitting. The Council isn't a democracy. It's a protection scheme. Species pay tribute or they get conquered. We watched them destroy civilizations that refused. We saw what they did to the Telem race. The Karathi. Species that were too weak to fight back.
Oh.
So we waited, Hannah said. We watched. We learned. We built. And we stayed silent. Until now, President Mingi said. Admiral Doyon nodded. Until now. The question is, what do we do? Hannah stepped forward. We let them come. We let the plague ship get close. Close enough to see Earth. Close enough to think they've won. And then we show them the truth. What truth? The President asked. That the most dangerous thing in the galaxy isn't the strongest species, Hannah said. It's the quiet one. The one that watches. The one that waits. The one they underestimated. President Minji looked around the table at each face. Soldiers, diplomats, scientists. All of them had dedicated their lives to this moment. All of them had kept Earth's secret. Activate the fleet, she said. Prepare a message for the galaxy. It's time they learned that humans exist. And it's time the Council learned they made a mistake. What kind of message? Dr. Tay asked. The President smiled. But it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who had been patient for too long. A simple one, she said. We know. We remember. Come no closer. In orbit around Jupiter, deep inside a hollowed asteroid, lights began to turn on. Computers that had waited for 200 years came to life. Weapons charged. Engines hummed with power. The fleet was waking up and Earth's silence was about to end. The alien ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Its name translated to Mercy's End in human languages, though the crew thought of it as a kindness. They believed they were doing good work. Inside the ship, the captain checked his instruments. He was a Vraxian, a species that looked like walking crabs with too many claws. His name was difficult to pronounce in human terms, but it didn't matter. He would never meet any humans. According to his mission briefing, the primitives on the third planet didn't even have radio yet. All systems normal, his second officer reported. Beginning approach to target world. Start the Mercy broadcast, the captain ordered. Let them hear our message in their final hours. The ship's computers began transmitting on all frequencies. The message was pre-recorded, spoken in a gentle voice. People of this world, your suffering will soon end. Do not be afraid. The Council brings you peace. On Earth, Yuna heard the broadcast and felt sick. They actually believed they were being kind. Captain Hannah stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, her flagship. Around her, the crew moved with quiet efficiency. Every person here had trained their entire lives for this moment. Every system on the ship was ready. Status of the fleet? She asked. All 340 ships report ready, Captain, her tactical officer replied. Hidden and waiting on your command. Hannah looked at the main screen. It showed the plague ship still millions of kilometers away, moving steadily toward Earth. The alien crew had no idea what was about to happen. Admiral Park? She said into her cum. Doyen's voice came back strong. We're watching, Captain. The decision is yours. You're in tactical command? Anna took a deep breath. She thought about the 8 billion people on Earth below. She thought about the 200 years of silence. She thought about all the species the Council had killed before. Decloak the fleet, she ordered. All ships, simultaneously, and broadcast Dr. Tay's message. Across the solar system, human warships appeared. They had been invisible, hidden by technology that bent light and radiation around them. Now they've revealed themselves all at once. The plague ship's alarms started screaming. On the alien bridge, the captain stared at his screens in horror. One moment, space had been empty. The next, he was surrounded. Ships appeared on every side, above and below, forming a perfect sphere around his vessel. His computer counted them. 340 contacts. All of them were warships. All of them had weapons locked onto his ship. Where did they come from? He screamed. His sensor officer's hands shook as he checked his instruments. I don't know. They weren't there. They just appeared. Are they cloaked? No. I mean, they were, but the technology, I've never seen anything like it. No energy signature. No distortion field. They were completely invisible. The captain's mind raced. The primitives weren't supposed to have ships. They weren't supposed to have anything. The survey said they were Category 7, pre-industrial, harmless. Then the message came at broadcast on every frequency at once. The voice was human, female, speaking perfect galactic common with no accent. The words were clear and calm. We are humanity of Earth. We have listened for 200 years. We heard your wars. We heard your treaties. We heard your lies. We heard your vote. You chose to murder our world to test a weapon. This was a mistake. The alien captain felt his blood go cold. They knew. Somehow, these primitives knew about the Council's decision. They had been listening. Transmit surrender, he ordered. Tell them we surrender. We mean no harm. But before his communications officer could respond, the human ships demonstrated their power. It happened so fast that the aliens barely understood it. The human vessels didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, beams of precise energy lanced out, touching the plague ship in dozens of places. The alien captain felt his ship shake, but there was no explosion. No breach, no damage. Then he realized what was happening. The humans were cutting his ship apart. Layer by layer, the outer hull peeled away. The humans removed it like someone peeling fruit, exposing the intersections. They cut through the cargo bay doors, revealing the plague weapon inside. They sliced open the engine room but left the engines intact. They knew exactly where everything was. How are they doing this? The weapons officer whispered. The captain had no answer. The level of precision required was beyond anything in Council technology. The humans were performing surgery on his ship while it was still in space, still powered, still intact. They were showing off. Then something else happened. The captain felt a strange tingling sensation. The lights flickered. And suddenly, he and his entire crew were standing in a different place. They were in a large room on a human ship. The walls were metal, clean, and simple. Armed humans in dark uniforms surrounded them, weapons ready. But the weapons weren't pointed at the aliens. They were just there. A reminder: at the front of the room stood a human woman in a military uniform. She was tall, with dark hair pulled back in a tight knot. Her eyes were hard. I'm Captain Hannah Kwan, she said in perfect galactic common. You are prisoners of Earth. You will be treated according to the laws of war. You will not be harmed unless you attempt to harm others. Do you understand? The alien captain nodded slowly. His crew huddled together, terrified. Another human stepped forward. This one was thin, wearing civilian clothes. He carried a datapad. "I am Dr. Kim," he said. "I have some questions for you." Over the next hours, Dr. Tay questioned the crew. They told him everything. They had no reason to lie anymore. They explained how the council worked. They showed him the ship's database, filled with records of previous tests, previous missions. What Dr. Tay found made him feel cold inside. He took the data to Captain Hannah in her office. She was reviewing tactical reports when he entered. "You need to see this," Tay said, his voice shaking. He pulled up files on her screen. Lists of planets. Lists of species. 14 names in total. "What are these?" Hannah asked. "Previous test sites," Tay said quietly. "The Council has done this before. 14 times. 14 civilizations used to test biological weapons, chemical weapons, radiation weapons. All of them are extinct now." Hannah stared at the screen. 14 species that no longer existed. 14 worlds that were empty graveyards now. And Earth would have been number 15. "Does Admiral Park know?" "I'm sending him the data now." "Captain, this changes everything. This isn't just about defending Earth anymore." Hannah nodded slowly. "No, it's about justice. For those 14 species, for everyone the Council has hurt." She stood up and walked to the window of her office. Outside, she could see the human fleet still in perfect formation. Beyond them, Earth hung in space, beautiful and blue and alive. "Get me a secure channel to the President," she said. "And contact Admiral Park. We need to make a decision." An hour later, President Minji sat in the command center with her advisors around her. On the screen in front of her were the faces of Admiral Doyan, Captain Hannah, and Dr. Tay. 14 species, the President said. 14 extinctions. And they were going to make us number 15. "Yes, ma'am," Dr. Tay confirmed. General Wu Jin leaned forward. "Then we strike. Now. We take the fight to them. We have the element of surprise. We have superior technology. We can hit their home worlds before they know what's happening." But Ambassador Juwan shook her head. "Violence will only make us like them. We should negotiate from a position of strength. Show them our power, yes, but offer peace. Peace." General Wu Jin's face turned red. "They voted to exterminate us. And we can show the galaxy we're better than that," Ambassador Jiwan insisted. President Minji raised her hand for quiet. "Captain Quan, you're the one out there facing them. What do you think we should do?" Hannah had been thinking about this since she saw the list of dead civilizations. "I think the galaxy needs to know the truth. Not just about what the Council tried to do to us. About everything they've done, all their crimes, all their lies." "How?" the President asked. "A trial," Hannah said. "We broadcast it across the entire Quantum Veil network. Every species in the galaxy watches. We show them the evidence. We let the Council members testify. We let everyone see who has been ruling them." Admiral Doyen smiled. "A trial. I like it. It's bold. It's theatrical. And it puts the Council on the defensive. They'll try to stop us," General Wujin warned. "Let them try," Hannah said. "We have their plague ship. We have their crew. We have their database with all their crimes documented. And we have the fleet to protect the broadcast." President Mingi thought for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Do it," she said. "Put them on trial. Show the galaxy who the Council really is. And Captain Quan?" "Yes, ma'am." "Make it count. Humanity gets one chance to introduce ourselves to the galaxy. Make sure they never forget us." Hannah smiled. "Yes, ma'am. They won't." The human fleet began to move, forming up for the next phase. Dr. Tay started preparing the evidence, organizing 200 years of intercepted transmissions. Yuna and her team worked on hacking into the Quantum Veil network, preparing to broadcast to every corner of the galaxy and on Earth. People looked up at the stars and waited to see what would happen next. The silence was over. Now it was time to speak. Dr. Takim had not slept in 36 hours. His eyes burned as he stared at the screens, organizing files, checking translations, making sure everything was perfect. This would be the most important broadcast in human history. Every word had to be right. "Doctor, you should rest," Eunice said, bringing him another cup of coffee. Tay shook his head. "Not yet. We go live in 4 hours. I need to review the timeline one more time." Eunice sat down next to him. She was young, but she understood what was at stake. "The hack is ready. When you give the word, we'll broadcast on every channel in the Quantum Veil network. Every planet in the galaxy will receive the signal. Can the Council block it? They'll try. But our encryption is different from theirs. We've been studying their network for 200 years. We know it better than they do." Tay allowed himself a small smile. "Good. Then let's show the galaxy what their council has been hiding." On the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, Captain Hannah reviewed the tactical situation. Her fleet had moved to a defensive position around Earth. Every ship was ready for what might come next. "Captain, we're detecting movement at the edge of the system," her sensor officer reported. "What kind of movement?" "Scout ships. Council design. 5 of them, just sitting there, watching us." Hannah nodded. She had expected this. "They know we're here now. They're trying to figure out what we are, where we came from. Let them watch. In a few hours, they'll understand everything." Admiral Doyan's face appeared on her screen. "Captain, are you ready?" "Yes, sir. Dr. Tay confirms the broadcast will go live in 4 hours. The evidence is compiled. The prisoners are ready to testify. If the Council tries to interfere, then we show them why that's a bad idea." The Admiral's old face crinkled with approval. "I trained you well, Captain. Good luck." 4 hours later, across 12,000 inhabited worlds, every screen that could receive a signal suddenly went dark. Governments panicked. Communications officers scrambled to understand what was happening. Had the Quantum Veil network crashed? Then a new image appeared. A human woman standing in front of a simple background. She wore a military uniform that no species recognized. Her face was calm but stern. Captain Hannah began to speak. Her words were translated simultaneously into every known language by computers that had learned them all. "My name is Captain Hannah Kwan of Earth. You do not know my species. You do not know my world, but you are about to learn who we are and why we are speaking to you now." In the council chambers, Counselor Vrex felt his blood run cold. The primitive world. The test site. They were broadcasting. How were they broadcasting? "Seal the transmission." He screamed at his technicians. "Block the signal." "We can't, Counselor. The encryption is unlike anything we've seen. Every time we try to block one channel, it appears on 10 others." On screens across the galaxy, Hannah continued, "For 200 years, my people have listened to your transmissions. We discovered the Quantum Veil network in what you would call the year 2347. We have heard every word spoken on this network since then. We have watched your wars. We have studied your technology. We have learned your languages, and we have remained silent." She paused, letting that sink in. 200 years of listening, watching, learning. We remained silent because we saw what happens to species that reveal themselves too early. We saw the truth about the Galaxy Council. We saw that it is not a democracy. It is not a peaceful union. It is a protection scheme. Species pay tribute or face conquest. Those who resist are destroyed. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched in shock. Many had suspected this. Many had known it. But no one had ever said it out loud on a public channel before. 47 hours ago, the Galaxy Council made a decision. They voted to use my world, Earth, as a testing ground for a biological weapon. They chose us because they believed we were primitives. Pre-industrial, harmless. They were wrong. The image changed. Now it showed the plague ship, Mercy's End, being dissected in space by precision beams. It showed the alien crew being transported aboard a human vessel. We captured the Council's plague ship and its crew. We have their database. And in that database, we found evidence of crimes that the galaxy must see. Dr. Tay appeared on the screen next to Hannah. He looked tired, but determined. "My name is Dr. Tay Kim. I am a xenolinguist. I have studied your languages and cultures for 40 years. What I am about to show you comes directly from the Council's own records. The screen split into multiple images. Files, documents, video recordings. All of them taken from the plague ship's database. 14 civilizations, Dr. Tay said quietly. 14 species that the Council used as test subjects for weapons. All of them are extinct now. I will show you their names. I will show you what was done to them. And I will show you the Council members who ordered it. One by one, the names appeared. Species that most of the galaxy had never heard of. Small civilizations. Isolated worlds. Species that had been alone in the universe when the Council found them. The Telem, the Karathi, the Bendix, the Elaine. Names that meant nothing to most viewers. But the evidence was undeniable. Videos showed Council ships arriving at these worlds. Documents detailed the weapon tests. Reports clinically described extinction timelines. On the Council worlds, leaders scrambled to respond. Some denied everything. Some tried to justify it. Some simply went silent. Counselor Vrex stood in the Council chamber, his claws clicking nervously. This is slander. These humans are manipulating the evidence. They cannot be trusted. But his words fell flat. The evidence was too detailed, too extensive. It had the stamp of Council databases, Council encryption, Council authenticity codes. Everyone could see it was real. Back on the broadcast, Captain Hannah spoke again. We have the crew of the plague ship here with us. They are being treated as prisoners of war, according to our laws. They are not harmed, but they will testify to what they know. The alien captain appeared on screen. He looked small and afraid. A human voice asked him questions, and he answered. Yes, he had been ordered to test the weapon on Earth. Yes, he knew it would kill billions. Yes, he had been told it was for the good of the galaxy. Did you believe that? The voice asked. The alien captain hesitated. Then quietly, I didn't think about it. I follow orders. And the 14 species before Earth, did you know about them? Yes, it's common knowledge among weapons researchers. The Council needs test subjects. Isolated worlds are perfect for this. Across the galaxy, the reaction was immediate. On some worlds, riots broke out. On others, governments quietly began to reconsider their relationship with the Council. And on many worlds, species who had always hated the Council felt a surge of hope. Maybe they weren't alone. Maybe someone was finally standing up. Captain Hannah returned to the screen. The Galaxy Council has ruled for 3,000 years. In that time, they have convinced you that they are necessary. That without them, chaos would rule. That tribute and obedience are a small price to pay for peace. She leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. But peace built on mass murder is not peace. It is tyranny, and humanity rejects it. The image changed again. This time it showed the human fleet. 340 warships in perfect formation around Earth. Earth does not ask to join the Galaxy Council. We reject it entirely. We declare ourselves independent. And we offer an alternative to any species that wants it. Dr. Tay spoke again. We propose the Free Worlds Coalition. A union based on choice, not coercion. No tribute. No forced membership. No extortion. Species join because they want to, and they remain free to leave whenever they choose. Those who join will be protected by the combined strength of all member worlds, and the Council. Someone asked off-screen. Hannah's face was hard. The Council can continue to exist if it chooses, but it will no longer prey on the weak. It will no longer use isolated species as test subjects. It will no longer extort tribute from desperate worlds, because if it tries, it will have to go through us first. The broadcast continued for another 2 hours. Dr. Tay presented more evidence. The alien crew testified further. Human officers explained their technology, their philosophy, their 200 years of patient watching, and then Captain Hannah delivered the final message. To the species of the galaxy, we are humanity of Earth. We have stayed silent until now. But that silence is over. We offer friendship to those who come in peace. We offer protection to those who are threatened. And we offer warning to those who prey on others. She paused, then smiled slightly. The Council made a mistake when they chose to attack Earth. They underestimated the quiet species in the corner. The Watchers. The ones who learn by listening. That is a mistake they will not make again. And we hope it is a lesson that others will remember. The broadcast ended. The screens across the galaxy returned to their normal channels. But nothing would be normal again. In the council chambers, Counselor Vrex sat in stunned silence. Around him, other council members argued, panicked, or simply stared at screens in shock. "What do we do?" one of them asked. Vrex's claws clicked together. He was afraid, but also angry. Very angry. "We mobilized the fleet. Every ship, every weapon. These humans have humiliated us. They have exposed our secrets. They must be destroyed." But their technology, and other counselors spoke up nervously. But what if other species join them? The broadcast was very persuasive. The council fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system 3 days after the broadcast. 5,000 warships, the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel in a massive formation that stretched across millions of kilometers of space. On the command ship, Counselor Vrex stood on the bridge watching the tactical displays. His claws clicked together with satisfaction. The human fleet was exactly where his scouts had reported. 340 ships in defensive positions around Earth. "They're badly outnumbered," his tactical officer said. "Even with their advanced technology, they cannot survive this." Vrex nodded. "Broadcast a message to them. Offer surrender. If they submit now, we will be merciful. They will only lose their fleet and their independence. If they resist, we will destroy everything." The message was transmitted. On the Eternal Vigilance, Captain Hannah listened to the Council's ultimatum and laughed. "Should we respond, Captain?" her communications officer asked. "No, let them sweat for a moment. Prepare to execute Admiral Park's plan?" "Yes, ma'am." Hannah switched to a secure channel. "Admiral, the Council fleet is in position. They've sent a surrender demand." Admiral Doyen's weathered face appeared on her screen. Even at his age, his eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Perfect. Captain Hannah, reveal the full fleet. Let's show them what they're really facing." Across the Sol system, space seemed to ripple. Then ships began to appear. Not hundreds, thousands. On the Council command ship, alarms started blaring. New contacts. The sensor officer screamed. Hundreds of them. "No, thousands. Where are they coming from?" Vrex stared at the tactical display in horror. The human fleet was growing before his eyes. 340 ships became 700, then 1,000, then 1,500. They kept appearing, materializing out of empty space. "Final count," his officer reported in a shaking voice. 2,400 human warships, plus orbital defense platforms around Earth, Luna, and Mars, plus automated drone swarms, plus, gods help us, they have kinetic weapons platforms hidden in the asteroid belt. Vrex felt fear creep through his body. How? How did they hide so much? Their cloaking technology is beyond anything we've ever seen. Our sensors showed empty space. There was nothing there. There was everything there, Vrex whispered. We just couldn't see it. Captain Hannah's voice came through on the general channel, broadcasting to both fleets. "Counselor Vrex, you asked for our surrender. We decline. Instead, we offer you a choice. Leave now and never return, or face the consequences." Vrex felt his pride override his fear. He had come here with 5,000 ships. The Council had never lost a battle. Never. "Attack," he ordered. "All ships, open fire." The Council fleet surged forward, weapons charging. It was an impressive sight, a wall of alien warships advancing on Earth, but the human fleet didn't move. They simply waited. "Range in 30 seconds, the tactical officer reported. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 5. The human fleet opened. Fire. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The humans didn't use traditional weapons. Instead, they deployed something the Council had never encountered: adaptive quantum torpedoes that learned from each impact, improving their effectiveness in real time. The first wave of torpedoes struck Council shields. The shields held, but the torpedoes analyzed the shield frequency and composition. The second wave, arriving milliseconds later, was already adapted to penetrate those exact shields. The third wave went through the shields like they weren't there, but even then, the humans weren't trying to destroy. They were targeting weapons and engines specifically. Council ships found their weapons disabled, their engines failing, but their life support intact. "They're not killing us," Vrex's tactical officer said in amazement. "They could destroy our ships, but they're just disabling them." General Wu Jinru commanded the human tactical operations from his station on Earth. He watched the battle unfold on his screens with satisfaction. Years of studying Council warfare patterns were paying off. As the Council relies on overwhelming force, he explained to the junior officers watching with him. They expect enemies to panic when outnumbered. But we're not panicking. We're executing the plan exactly as rehearsed. On the tactical display, human ships moved in precise formations, each one covering another. They used the asteroids for cover, emerged at unexpected angles, and coordinated their fire with computer precision. The Council fleet began to break apart. Not from destruction, but from confusion. Ship after ship found itself disabled, drifting helplessly. Their crews were alive, their life support functioning, but they couldn't fight. Counselor Vrex watched his fleet fall apart around him. "This is impossible. We outnumber them more than 2-1. His tactical officer shook his head. "Numbers don't matter if the enemy knows exactly where you'll be and what you'll do. They've studied our tactics for 200 years. They know us better than we know ourselves." Human ship appeared directly in front of the Council command vessel. For a moment, Vrex thought it would fire. Instead, it just sat there, weapons locked on target. Captain Hannah's voice came through again. "Counselor Vrex, the battle is over. You've lost. Order your ships to stand down." "Never. The Council does not surrender to primitives. Then watch more of your people die for your pride." But even as she said it, Hannah was coordinating with her medical teams. Every disabled Council ship was being approached by human vessels. They weren't attacking. They were offering assistance. "This is the human ship Compassion," one captain broadcast in Galactic Common. "Your life support is failing. We're sending repair drones to help. Do not resist, and you will not be harmed." On Council ships throughout the system, crews watched in confusion as human drones approached. The drones fixed critical systems, stabilized life support, and then withdrew. The humans were helping their enemies. "Why?" a Council officer asked. "Why are they helping us?" The human response was simple. "Because we can. Because we choose to value life, even yours." The battle lasted for hours. In that time, the Council lost 2,000 ships to disabling damage. 300 ships were destroyed, only because their crews panicked and self-destructed their vessels rather than surrender. The human fleet lost 16 ships, and those losses were mourned. Finally, Counselor Vrex accepted reality. "All ships cease fire. Stand down." His tactical officer looked at him. "Sir, we still have operational ships. We could continue? To what end? They've beaten us. They've done it without even trying to kill us. If they had wanted us dead, we would all be corpses by now." Admiral Doyon appeared on the Council command ship screen. His old face was stern, but not cruel. "Counselor Vrex, you are hereby under arrest for crimes against sapient life. You and 38 other Council members who voted to attack Earth will face trial. You will be tried according to the laws of war, and you will be given the chance to defend yourselves. And if we refuse, then you stay in your disabled ships until you change your mind. We can wait. We're very patient." Vrex looked around his bridge. His crew was exhausted, frightened. His fleet was broken. And the humans were offering a trial instead of execution. "I surrender," he said quietly. "I will face your trial." In the weeks that followed, Captain Hannah oversaw the War Crimes Tribunal. It was held on a neutral station broadcast across the galaxy, just like the first message. The evidence was presented. The council members testified. Some denied responsibility. Some claimed they were following orders. Some simply admitted what they had done. Captain Narration, one of Hannah's officers, spent days reviewing the council's database. What she found went beyond the 14 test worlds. There were records of extortion, of threats, of civilizations forced to join the council or face destruction. How deep does it go? Hannah asked her. Nari looked tired. All the way down, Captain? The entire council system is built on fear and exploitation. It's been that way for 3,000 years. The trial lasted 6 weeks. In the end, 39 council members were found guilty. They were sentenced to life imprisonment on an isolated world guarded by human wardens. The 8 council members who had voted against attacking Earth were offered amnesty and invited to help build something new. One of them, a small reptilian being named Kessa, spoke to Captain Hannah privately. Why are you doing this? You could rule the galaxy now. Your fleet is the strongest. Your technology is superior. Why build a coalition when you could build an empire? Hannah smiled. Because empires fall. Because tyranny breeds rebellion. Because we spent 200 years watching the council make that mistake. We learned from it peace. Real peace. Not the kind enforced by fear, but the kind built on choice. Species working together because they want to, not because they have Tokusa thought about that. And if species choose not to join your coalition, then they remain free. As long as they don't prey on others, we leave them alone. Freedom means the freedom to say no across the galaxy. Species watched the trial and made their choices. 23 species immediately declared independence from the council and requested to join the Free Worlds Coalition. Then 40 more. Then 70 President Minji Song worked 18-hour days organizing the new government structure. Ambassador Giwan Lee traveled to dozens of worlds, meeting with leaders, explaining the coalition's principles. 5 years had passed since the Battle of Seoul. The galaxy looked very different now. Captain Hannah Kwan, now security commander of the Free Worlds Coalition, stood in the observation deck of the coalition headquarters. The station orbited Earth, a massive structure built by 76 different species working together. Through the window, she could see ships from dozens of worlds docking, departing, living, and working together. It still amazed her sometimes. Commander Kwan, a young officer, approached. He was Vracian, the same species as the plague ship captain who had started everything. The memorial ceremony is ready, Hannah nodded. Thank you. I'll be there shortly. She made her way through the station's corridors. Everywhere she looked, she saw different species working side by side. A Vraxian engineer helped a human technician repair a console. A group of students from 6 different worlds sat in a common area, studying together. An alien merchant sold food from his home world to curious customers. This was what peace looked like. Real peace. The memorial hall was quiet when she entered. At the center stood a monument made of dark stone, carved with names. 14 species that no longer existed. The civilizations the council had destroyed. Director Yuna Choi stood by the monument. She had aged well in 5 years, though her job at the Remembrance Archive had added some gray to her hair. We have another 100 people requesting to visit this week, Yuna said quietly. Species from all over the galaxy. They want to see the names. To remember? That's good, Hannah said. We should never forget what the council did. Some people say we're being too harsh, that we should move on, look to the future instead of dwelling on the past. Hannah touched one of the carved names gently. The past is why we have this future. If we forget what happened, we risk repeating it. The ceremony began. Representatives from all 76 coalition species gathered. President Minji Song, now serving her 2nd term as coalition chairperson, spoke about the importance of remembering those who couldn't be here. These names represent civilizations we never got to meet, she said. Species whose art we'll never see, whose music we'll never hear, whose ideas we'll never learn from. They were taken from the galaxy before they could share themselves with us. We remember them not with sadness alone, but with determination. Determination that no other species will suffer the same fate. After the ceremony, Hannah met with Admiral Dojan for lunch. The old admiral had retired from active duty but still served as an advisor. He moved slower now, needed a cane, but his mind was as sharp as ever. "How's the defense force coming along?" he asked, eating slowly. "Strong. We have ships from 40 different species now, all volunteers, all trained to our standards. But more importantly, most of our members have their own defense forces. They don't need us to protect them. That's the goal, isn't it?" "Make yourselves unnecessary," Hannah smiled. "That's the goal. Though I don't think we'll be unnecessary anytime soon. There are still threats out there." She was right. Not every species had joined the coalition. Some chose to remain independent, which was their right. But a few had tried to take advantage of the Council's fall to build their own empires. The coalition had stopped them. Firmly, but without unnecessary violence. Dr. Tae Kim arrived at their table, carrying a datapad as always. "Am I interrupting?" "Never," Admiral Doyan said. "Sit down. Have you eaten?" "I'll eat later. I wanted to show you something." Tae pulled up a display. "We've made contact with a new species. They're in a distant region we haven't explored yet. They're calling themselves the Kamari. And," Hannah asked, "and they're pre-space flight. They've just invented radio. They're listening to our broadcasts, trying to understand who we are." Hannah felt a chill. They're in the same position we were, listening to the galaxy. Yes, but unlike us, they don't need to hide. We've already sent them a message. We told them who we are, what the coalition is, and that they're free to join when they're ready. Or not join at all. Their choice? How did they respond? Tae smiled. "They asked us to wait. They said they need time to decide as a species what they want to do. They'll contact us when they're ready." "Good for them, Admiral," Doyan said. "That's wisdom." Across the galaxy, life continued. On Earth, alien tourists walked through cities that had been hidden from the stars for centuries. They visited museums, tried human food, and learned about the species that had changed everything. Human children grew up learning alien languages in school. Human artists collaborated with aliens on projects that blended different cultures. Human scientists worked with alien researchers on problems that affected everyone, and in the darker corners of space, the former council members sat in their prison. They were well treated, given comfortable quarters and good food, but they couldn't leave. They spent their days thinking about what they had done, what they had lost. Counselor Vrek sat in his cell, reading reports about the coalition. He was allowed access to information, allowed to see how the galaxy was changing without him. Sometimes he felt regret. Sometimes he felt anger. Mostly, he felt tired. A human guard brought him his evening meal. "Anything you need, Counselor?" Rex looked at the young human. "Why do you still call me Counselor?" "I have no power, no authority," the guard shrugged. "It's what you were." Seemed respectful. Respect. "From my jailer, you're a prisoner, not an animal. There's a difference." After the guard left, Vrex thought about that. The humans had every reason to hate him. He had voted to exterminate their world. He had sent the plague ship. Yet they treated him with basic dignity. They gave him trials, not executions. They gave him life, not death. He didn't understand them. Even after 5 years, he didn't understand. Back on the coalition headquarters, Hannah received a priority message. She read it quickly, then contacted President Minji. "We have a situation," she said. "The Kalish Empire is mobilizing along the border of coalition space. They're making demands." President Minji's face was calm. "What kind of demands?" "They want 5 coalition worlds to submit to their authority. They say those worlds were traditionally in their sphere of influence. And if we refuse, then they'll take the worlds by force. They have a fleet of 800 ships." The president thought for a moment. "What do you recommend, Commander?" "I recommend we defend our members. The coalition exists to protect species from exactly this kind of bullying. If we back down now, others will try the same thing." Agreed. But try diplomacy first. If they won't listen, Show them what happened to the Council fleet. Hannah nodded. Yes, ma'am. The situation with the Kalish Empire resolved itself quickly. Hannah sent a polite message explaining that coalition members were free and independent, and would not submit to outside authority. The Kalish demanded again. Hannah sent them footage of the Battle of Seoul. The Kalish withdrew their fleet 3 days later. Did we just win a war without fighting? General Wujin asked when he heard. We won it by fighting 5 years ago, Hannah replied. The Kalish are smart enough to learn from the Council's mistake. That evening, Hannah stood in her quarters, looking at an old photograph. It showed her as a young officer standing with her first crew on the Eternal Vigilance. So many of them were gone now. Not dead, just moved on to other positions, other lives. The ship itself was now a museum in orbit around Earth. Admiral Dojan had been right. They had become what they needed to be. Earth had stayed silent, learned, and prepared. And when the moment came, they had acted with precision and purpose. But the old admiral had also warned her about something else. The hard part isn't winning, he had said. It's what comes after. Building is harder than fighting. He was right. Creating the coalition, maintaining it, helping 76 species work together, that was harder than any battle. It required patience, diplomacy, compromise. It required believing in something bigger than Earth. A message came through on her personal channel. It was from Dr. Tay, Kamari had responded. They want to join the coalition. They said they've been watching us for 5 years and they like what they see. They want to be part of it. Hannah smiled. Another species choosing freedom. Choosing to join not because they had to, but because they wanted to. She sent a message back. Welcome them. And make sure they know they can leave whenever they want. Will do. By the way, we're now at 77 member species. 77 different civilizations working together by choice. It seemed impossible. But here it was, happening. Hannah thought back to that day 5 years ago, when Yuna had first detected the Council's transmission. When they learned Earth was going to be attacked, everything had changed so fast, but in some ways, nothing had changed at all. Earth was still careful, still watching, still preparing. The difference was that now they were watching for everyone, preparing to defend everyone. The next morning, Hannah attended a meeting with the Coalition Council. Unlike the old Galaxy Council, this one was truly democratic. Each member species had one vote. No species had veto power. Decisions were made by majority, and minority voices were protected. Ambassador Jiwan Lee, now one of the senior diplomats, presented a proposal. We've been contacted by 12 species who want to join but are concerned about their ability to contribute. They're economically weak, militarily weak. They're afraid we'll see them as burdens.